Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that sounds like science fiction, but it's happening right now. We're talking about how artificial intelligence is completely changing the game in genetic diagnostics. This is the story of the AI genius.
For the longest time, if you were trying to find the single tiny error in our DNA that causes a rare genetic disease, it was this monumental task. Imagine being told to find just one typo somewhere in a library filled with 20,000 books. That's the scale we're talking about. A painstaking, almost impossible search through billions of letters of genetic code with absolutely no map. So how on earth did we go from that to this? To a world where we can find that exact same typo, sometimes in just a few hours? Well, that's the incredible leap we're going to break down today. But before we get to the solution, you have to truly appreciate the massive scale of the problem. It all kicks off with something called the genetic data deluge. 3 billion. Just let that number sink in for a second. That's how many DNA base pairs, the letters A, C, T, and G, make up just one single human genome. It's our entire biological instruction manual. To put it another way, the amount of information crammed into the DNA of just one of your cells is pretty much the same as an entire library of books. It is a dense, incredibly complex encyclopedia all about you. Then came this revolutionary technology called next-generation sequencing, or NGS. For the first time, it let us read that whole 3 billion-letter encyclopedia and do it quickly and relatively cheaply. But this amazing breakthrough created its own monster of a problem, a total flood of raw data, way too much for any single person or even a huge team of scientists to ever analyze on their own. So, with this ocean of new data, how did scientists even begin to cope before AI? Well, they had to rely on this incredibly slow manual process. A literal search for a needle in a genomic haystack. In the old days, scientists were looking for big structural changes, and what they found was recorded in this super dense, almost cryptic language. A single line like this is describing a whole chunk of one chromosome getting inserted into another. To even understand this, you had to have deep, specialized expertise and spend hours at a microscope. And let's say they even had a suspect, proving it was a real diagnostic gauntlet. First, you'd have to amplify the DNA, then you'd run it through a gel, then you'd run another complex test just to confirm it. Every single step was slow and required so much hands-on work. We're talking weeks just to investigate one tiny piece of the puzzle. And get this, every step was filled with doubt. This quote from an old diagnostics manual says it all. You couldn't even trust a negative result. It didn't mean you found nothing. It just meant you had to move on to the next, even slower, even more expensive test to be sure. It was exhausting. Okay, so we've got a flood of data from sequencing, but our old tools are like trying to empty the ocean with a teaspoon. They're just too slow. And this is where artificial intelligence doesn't just help, it completely changes the game. The secret sauce here is a type of AI called machine learning. And the way one of our sources defines it is perfect. It's a system that gets smarter just by looking at data. But here's the magic trick. It finds connections and patterns that are literally invisible to us. Patterns hidden in billions of data points that are just way beyond what a human brain can process. And the difference it makes is a total revolution. Look at this. The old way? We're talking months, maybe years, looking at one single gene at a time. And you could only find mistakes you already knew to look for. The new AI-powered way? Hours or days. It scans the entire genome at once, and this is the most important part. It discovers brand new patterns we've never seen before. And listen, this is not some far-off future fantasy. This technology is already making the jump from the computer lab to the doctor's office. Let's look at how AI is changing things for actual patients right now. And we've got the hard data to prove it. Check out the study on acute myeloid leukemia. By having an AI analyze images of blood cells, a new model hit 97.5% accuracy. That's better than the old models, and it's even better than other standard AI. What does that mean in the real world? A faster, more accurate diagnosis. So AI is basically handing doctors a whole new toolkit. It can look at a tiny change in your DNA and help classify if it's dangerous or harmless. It can build models that predict how a disease might progress. It can even help figure out the perfect radiation dose or the right drug, pushing us into this incredible new age of truly personalized medicine.
So, what does this all add up to? Well, it's pointing to a future where our healthcare is literally built from our own personal health blueprint.
If there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this simple but profound idea. Because AI can now read and understand our unique genetic code at scale, we are watching the end of one-size-fits-all medicine.
And this quote just says it all. The goal is a highly customized treatment plan. It's about medicine that is as unique as you are. Of course, this amazing power brings huge responsibilities. We have to protect this incredibly personal data, making sure privacy and consent come first. And we absolutely have to make sure these AI systems are fair, trained on diverse data so they don't accidentally make healthcare worse for some groups. Solving these ethical puzzles is just as important as the science itself.
Look, this is really just the beginning. We've gone from looking for a single typo in a giant library to having a tool that can read the entire collection and is starting to understand it. So it leaves us with this one huge, exciting question for the future. As AI becomes fluent in the language of our genes, what will we ask it to find next?